Hi, this is Tranisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about serve. So, what made me think about serve is because apparently I keep getting message after sermon after radio station after thing after thing that keeps on saying serve, 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 serve. And so apparently I need to be serving. And so I know that I've like touched base on it a few times in a few different videos and things like that. And it's so funny because I was just thinking, it's okay, so ladies, you know how it feels to be in this position. I need to move this pillow because I can't even sit back. It'll be fine. Okay, so and let me move this camera back where it was. For some reason, oh yeah, I know I was exercising and I wanted the camera to be the other way. So, okay, that's what happened. And I might even take off this blazer, but I had to go in the office today. That's why I'm in a blazer and the whole thing is going on right now. And so this whole outfit, I know I always do like a little side note and stuff like that, but it's a black turtleneck top with a light blue blazer. This scarf is, I think it's gold, white, blue, light blue, and black. And then I have my black dress pants on and I wore my black booties, which are heels that come right above the ankle ish. And and so I had those on today, and just to let you know what's going on. So I would probably wear like a blazer and some jeans anyways if I was just like out and about or something, but this is why this is happening. So so I am listening to a sermon before I go to work. And well, before I leave the house, I'm listening to a sermon. And it's saying you have to serve. Like it was a whole message and all this other stuff, but the main part that I heard, it was about healing, but it was about being intentional with your life and serving while you're in your waiting season. It was mainly about like, yeah, there are some things that hurt you, there are some things that you're going through, but the best way to heal a broken heart is to serve. Like you would think that you would need more stuff to heal yourself, but really it's better when it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And it's so true because when I get stuff for myself, when I'm doing things for me, it does feel nice to get things or to do things for myself. But when I give someone else something, like let's say I'm at a store or at a, I don't want to say restaurant, but if I'm at a food place or something like that, and there's someone behind me and God says give, I give. And just I don't like stay. I just leave abruptly because I don't want to make it about me. I want to make it about, being intentional and doing what God says to do. And so, like, when things like that happen, or like the person behind you in line, or whatever else it is, and you see like the expression on their face, or like that person in the store, like, during like the winter months is the worst because the electricity bill is the highest, and the prices of things go up, and then you have to have heat in the house, so the heat makes electricity higher, and then there's gas going back and forth, so it's just it's a whole thing. And I'm not saying that God isn't the God of abundance and you don't have a lot of things and everything that you need. That's so true. And I also think that God blesses you with things so that you can help other people as well. And so if I'm ever in certain positions of my life where I can help someone else, I do help them. And most of the time I'm thinking like, okay, when it comes to serving, I'm thinking, oh, this is just like a money thing. But really it's serving your time, it's serving money, it's serving whatever it is that you can do to help someone else out is considered serving. And sometimes I think it's easy for us to not really understand the true meaning of things because we hear stuff as we grow up and we take that as bond. We take that as this is all it means. Let's not look into this and figure out anything else. Like we really just believe that this is it. And even with yesterday when I did the video and we were talking about how people say, get thee behind me, like get thee behind me, Satan, or Satan, get thee behind me, or something like that, instead of saying, God said, get thee behind me, Satan. So that way you are putting all of it on God because God can always win against Satan. And not only that, but we don't have the power of God. We can ask for his strength, ask for, you know, call upon his power so that he can get us through things in life. But we are not God, is one thing that I want to make sure that I definitely reiterate. And sometimes when we hear like little cliche terms and things like that, we start to feel as if that's exactly the only meaning of it. That's all it means. There's nothing behind it. We don't have to like do more research. We don't have to figure out what the true meaning of that word is, or that saying, or that definition, or whatever it is. We just completely just believe it and just take it as bond. We really do just accept it, as if there's nothing else that could come from it. And it's the same way with mindset when it comes to money. You hear people always like talking broke or speaking brokenness, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, we don't have money for this," or "Oh, we'll never be able to afford something like that." Watch your tongue, because you never want to call that, you never want to speak that over your life, because the tongue is the most powerful vessel on your body, next to your mind, next to your soul. There's other powerful things. But when you speak things, you really need to be careful of what it is that you're saying over your life, over your family's life, over generations to come, over the people around you, over your friends, over your potential partner or your friendship or your job. Because the more you say those things, the more it can become a reality. The more it'll change your mindset. You'll start to believe these things. Instead of you being able to see the vision that God has for you, you'll be blocked off. It'll be almost like a fog. You won't even be able to see other ways to make more money if you're talking broke. You won't even be able to see that you actually have a good friend if you're talking about all the bad friends that you had in the past. You won't even be able to appreciate the job that you get that gives you time to spend doing working in your purpose, or time that you get to spend in a place that you never imagined that you would be, because you want to complain so badly because you're so used to everyone else complaining. But what are you complaining for, really? Like, no, not everything is going to be perfect, but really watch your tongue, because you don't want to speak certain stuff over your life. And even when it comes to potential partners or people, I I in the past have said stuff over and over again like, "Oh, this is just a friend. This is just somebody that, not that I would say I would never consider being with, but I'd be like, oh, I see this person. Yeah, I could see that we would be good friends or something like that." And speaking that over the whole relationship, I don't know what God's intention was. God might not even intend for us to be friends at all. Like, who knows? But you really have to be careful of what you're saying over things in your life, because now you can't see if this is the person for you. You can't see if this isn't the person who shouldn't be a part of your life at all. The only thing you could see is this person as a friend, and that's it. And so if there was ever an opportunity, or if God was trying to bless you with the person or a relationship, now you missed it because you are so busy using your tongue as a weapon to tear down every blessing that was possibly coming your way. It literally is like one of those machetes going through a forest or something. Like, that's what your tongue has been doing in your life. It's just been tearing down them trees left and right. All of the blessings. Like, every every time God's about to send you something, you're like, oh, broke. Oh, not good friends. Oh, I hate my job. Oh, like, oh, I never want to date for 10 years or whatever it is. Like, you're speaking this over your life as if your words don't have power behind them, as if you're not already training your mind to be in lack of everything. Do you realize that your mind is so powerful, that your tongue is so powerful, that God gave you these things so that you can be as strong as you need to be in different areas of your life? Do you realize that God equipped us with everything that we need, and He will continue to supply all of our needs? We are the only ones standing in our way, and yet we act surprised when we hear people say that. When we hear people say, oh, change that negative thought into a positive thought. And we get surprised when we don't have money for something, or we are broke, or when we are like, whatever it is that's happening in our life that turns out badly. We're just like, oh my goodness, you knew this was going to happen. Really? You knew, because you're God. You got control over your whole life. Like, God never blessed you before. So you just know all bad things are going to happen. That's cynicism. That is not reality. That is just something that these shows, society, that your negative thoughts, Satan has been using to make you think that God isn't who he says he is. And I know you're probably thinking I'm reaching and that's like, oh, like there's no way. Like, but honestly, think about it. Think about how many things you could have had. Think about all those, better yet, think of all those times in your past when you could have been in that relationship that was amazing. And you told yourself that you either didn't deserve it or that person was going to treat you like everybody else. And you missed out on a great guy or a great woman because of you. Think about it. Honestly, don't just pretend as if it never happened because you make the best of choices and you never make a mistake in your life. I've been there, I've done it, so I know everybody else has done it too. So we're not going to pretend, and I'm not saying that every person is ready for a relationship and everything would be perfect or anything like that. I'm just saying really think about the choices that you've made in your life and who was really the brunt of your burden. It was mostly you because we are the ones that make things harder on ourselves. We're the ones that's stopping most of the blessings in our life. Like I've shared this before and I've been completely transparent, but I suffered from cynicism. And I'm not saying it as if it's like some sort of virus or something like that. I'm just saying that in general, those negative thoughts, me not wanting to hope for anything, me just wanting to be miserable and just to settle for less and to lower my standards and to just think that God would want me to be miserable or unhappy, which is so untrue, is something that I really work on. I have to work on every single day. Even though I know that God is who he says he is, even though I know he's a God that he cannot lie, even though I've seen the miracles and all of the signs and wonders and everything that God has blessed me with in my life, all of the things that he stopped from happening to me, the people that he's removed from my life that should have never been there, the things that like it makes no sense to me why this person wouldn't be a part of my life or why this person, you know, is no longer in my life or whatever else it is. And to God, it makes perfect sense because that's not what he intended for me. But yet, for me or for us, sometimes we can think of the negative reason, like, oh, it really sucks that I couldn't have what I wanted. If God gave you what you wanted every time, I don't know if this is just me, but if you think back to all those times that you really wanted something and you see that person now and you're like, what was I thinking? Like, I'm not saying like I'm saying someone looks or doesn't look a certain way or anything like that. I'm not getting on anyone's appearance because I think everyone's beautiful. I'm just saying in general, the personality, the things that they've done, like if you could imagine if God would have given you that person or that thing, like you probably would be miserable. You probably would have hurt yourself in the process. Like if you would have been given everything that you asked God for, knowing knowing that it wasn't good for you, would you really be happy right now? Would you can you really see like even as you think about that, it's showing you how good God is because he's not just doing things because you want it. He's doing things for you so that you can have a better life, so that you can be blessed, so that he can continue to give you more and more things in life. He's not doing it because he just wants to be some mean kid who's holding something away from you over your head because you're short and you can't reach it. He's not doing that at all. He's growing you, he's pushing you, he's making you develop into a better person so that you can be stronger for every level that he wants to take you at. Because if he gives you something prematurely, it will destroy you. He's looking out for your best interest. He's not doing it. It's kind of like it's kind of like that parent that you have. I know we call him father because he really is a father to all of us, to the father to the fatherless, a mother to the motherless, so on and so forth. And it's like that parent who you really want to date like this guy or you really want this thing. You don't understand why you can't go to this party or whatever else it is when you're younger and your parents are telling you, no, don't go there. Like you absolutely should not be there. You shouldn't be at this party. Don't date this guy. And you're thinking, but I really want it. I really want to date this person. I really want to go to this party or whatever else it is. And you might not sound like that when you say it, but you sound like that when you say it. Like You don't sound like a teenage girl like, but why? I really love him. Like, you don't sound like that, but you sound like that. Like, you sound ungrateful. You sound like it's me, me, me. This is what I want, not what's beneficial to the kingdom, not what would really truly benefit my life, but this is what I need right now at this very moment. I cannot wait. Like a kid. This is what you sound like. This is what we all have sounded like in the past. And so so you're saying that skip 5, 10 years later, this guy ran through so many people, this woman ran through so many people, and I don't mean in that way. I mean breaking hearts or whatever else it is. I mean in a bad environment, ending up hurting themselves or hurting someone else, ending up, in prison, whatever else it is, for something that you are so happy that you didn't have to be a part of or get to be a part of. I don't want to say get, have to be a part of because you chose to do that. And so just really think about that, and how if you would have been able to be with that person, if your parents didn't, try to keep you away from that person or try to stop you from going to that party, you could have been the person had a that was DUI and a bad accident that was fatal or something like that. You could have been the person who ended up not being able to stop something from happening to you. You could have been the person who ended up in the hospital. You never know what could have happened to you if you would have been able to do what you wanted to do. But because your parents are trying to protect you, they want the best for you. They might not always make, like, parents in general might not always make the best decision, but they make the best decision that they can. And I like to think of God like that, except for God knows the full story. He knows what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, why it's going to happen. And so whenever he's holding something from us, he's doing it for our benefit because he knows that thing is not good for us. He knows if we get that job, we're going to neglect our friends and family. If we get the job, we're going to give up on our purpose because we're going to feel like the money is all we need. When truly what we really need is our purpose, and what we truly need 100% is God. And everything else is just an accessory. It's just extra. It's not something that we needed in our life. God supplies all of our needs. So if we have God, we have everything. And so we keep on trying to tell ourselves that, oh yeah, it'll just be this job that will make us happy because it'll fulfill us. But God fulfills us. God fills us up so that we can pour into other things, so that we can serve in different areas of our life, so that we can help other people, so that we can be in our purpose and adding to the kingdom of God. He's not doing it because he doesn't want you to get a good job with good money. He's not doing it because he doesn't want you to be in a happy relationship. He's holding off, and this is my belief because you all know I'm not in any type of relationship, healthy or otherwise. And so, so he's doing it because you might feel like you're ready to be in that relationship, but God might say you got a few things that he has to get off of you first. Your patience might be something that you're working on currently. And until you become more patient, he can't give you one of his children and you be in a relationship with them hot tempered, or, you know, keeping records of wrongs, or not willing to wait for things that you need to wait for. Like, maybe the resilience is something that he needs to build in you so that you can be stronger to be able to wait for certain things. And you might not be able to wait. That might be the downfall of the whole relationship because you weren't ready. Maybe you are ready. Let's say you're ready. Let's say you've been working on yourself. You look good, you smell good, you talk good, you're good at communicating. All the past stuff that you've dealt with, you went to see therapy, you went to a life coach, your business is doing well, or your career is going on the right track, and everything else. Everything's lining up. You feel like you're ready. You and God's relationship is like this. I mean, like this. And so you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally there. And God's like, you are ready. But first, I need you to fulfill your purpose. There's things that I need you to do to serve in the kingdom. And while you're serving, this is how you're going to meet your husband or your wife. You're thinking that you got to be at this club or some other place that God doesn't want you to be at anyways. I'm not saying I'm getting on clubs. I'm just saying in general. You're thinking of the whole opposite of what God is saying is what I'm trying to say. And so you are going all out of the way to try to find this man or this woman that's for you. And God is saying, if you just stay on the path that I set forth for you, the person's right there waiting on you. They're waiting on you to be in your purpose. They're waiting on you to get those things off of your life, to be more patient. They're waiting for you to be more understanding, to be loving and kind, and not to keep records of wrongs. They're waiting on you to be so in your purpose and so in love with me that when you get into a relationship, you will be exactly like a wife or a husband is supposed to be. You can't walk into this relationship with all that toxicity. You can't walk into that relationship with all of that pain still there on your heart. You can't walk into this relationship while you are not even partly healed. You can't walk into this relationship and expect a person to be me. You can't walk into this relationship and become codependent. You have to be independent on your own and become interdependent. And that's not me, that's TG Jr. And let me just clarify this because I always say TG Jr. and I feel like nobody's going to know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Tony Gaskins Jr. And I said it in one of my other videos, but whenever I say TG Jr., that's what I'm talking about. I just abbreviate it. And so I want to give kudos where kudos is due, of course, absolutely, for sure. And I also don't want it to be like one of those things that ends up whatevering the I don't know what it's called, but I don't want it to do something with the video and then link it to his stuff. And then I'm new, so I want to earn this the right way. I don't want it to be because his name is in the video. So that's why you hear me say like abbreviated things because he's more popular and I want to make sure that I'm serving in my purpose and it's not taking away from or I'm not like piggybacking on anything that he spent several years building, if that makes any sense. So it's not that I'm just like neglecting it or anything like that. I just want to make sure that I'm following God's lead and I'm not doing it for any ulterior motive or for my benefit. This is all for God. And so I just want to clarify that because just in case. And I want to be honest and, forthcoming. And so, so yes, just really, truly and that led me back to serving that other part. So I know I'm all over the place, but this is what I'm saying. And this is what I'm saying. When you are following God, He really does provide everything else. So while you're serving, that will be the path that you need to take to get the job, to have the career, to be in your purpose, to meet the person, to have the friendship. You can have everything. The people that say you can't have everything are just I think it's just an excuse to allow cynicism to stay in our life, allow us to still be a little negative while we are being blessed instead of being fully engulfed in God and instead of being fully present in God and following behind Him. And I know I like to say a lot of the times walking with Him, but do not ever get it twisted that I'm saying that I'm walking on the same level as God. I'm just saying that we walk through the journey that God has set forth for us. That God walks with us in our hard times where we're trying, where we can't make it. When I'm weak, He's strong for me, is what I mean. I don't mean at all that I would ever be walking in the same level or whatever with God. I just mean that He is my God and light. He literally makes a path for me. And anytime that I'm vulnerable or I'm weak or I feel like I can't go on or I'm going through a storm or a trial or a tribulation, I can always call on His name and He will be right there where I would need Him to help carry me through the rest of the way, to help guide me through. So I just want to make that clear as well. And so I think it's really important for us in this season to serve our time, serve with money, like giving money, whatever else. And don't just like send a check and then be like, oh, okay, I served. Like, really be intentional with what it is that you're doing. And don't just to give. Give because God put it on your heart to do it. He led you to do that. Don't just be like, oh, I'm going to give $100 to this person over here just because. Like, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but when you're intentional with what you're doing when you're serving, it does give all the glory to God. And you're showing that you are willing to be obedient and sacrifice and give to something that it might not even be something that you want to give to. But because God sees your heart, He knows that you're willing to be obedient and you're willing to give to something that benefits Him and doesn't shine any light on you. Like it doesn't give you any glory. I mean, it doesn't give you any kudos or whatever else. It really just it really only focuses on giving glory to God. Why did I want to stop right there for some reason? And so, in conclusion, because I don't like the video to go long just to go long, just to talk a lot. In conclusion, I think it's really important for us to serve in the season. And it's funny because I was asked to do something that I don't usually do. That's good. It's good for me. It would be good for children and other people and things like that. It's just this new project that we might be working on within the church and things like that. And so initially I was thinking, I I know I is so wrong, especially when you're thinking about God. You need to be focused on what God wants first and then everything else fall into place. So I was going through this season of my life and I met this person who is in a small group. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, it would be so amazing if the church that I go to has had a small group, because for people my age, it's really hard to stay focused on God sometimes. Like sometimes you get distracted, or sometimes there's these things that are dangled in front of you that seem like it's beneficial, or it gets hard because you're doing the right thing all the time and the wrong thing seems like it would be easier. And so it's like those moments like that, I really wish that I had a small group at my church or somewhere where I could meet up with other women who are around my age, who know what it's like to be my age, to be going through like this single season or going through life. And everyone thinks, oh, well, you're young, you should just go do blah. And I'm like, just because I'm young, I don't want to be a young fool. I want to be a young, intelligent, wise person, not a young fool. I don't want to just go with the ways of the world or society. I really want to do the right thing. And sometimes when I'm weak, God is strong for me. And I also think it would be beneficial to have a small group so that we could do things like that. So I was thinking that just for my benefit, but not for God's benefit. And I mean, it could give more honor and glory to God because it's something that would be benefiting the kingdom, because we would all be helping each other. It's like that friend that you have that's got your back. So even when you're going through a hard time or you're struggling, they can be stronger for you, like some of my friends are. And so, like, if I'm ever in a mood where I'm like doubtful about something or something's on my mind or I'm concerned about something, I talk to God first. And my friends, when I am vulnerable or weak, they are really, really encouraging and helpful, and they're really supportive in those moments. And so it really does help see me through. And I also know that we are friends and we do think alike on most areas, but some areas when it comes to my faith, we have a difference of opinions. And when it comes to things like that and I'm struggling with those things, I can't turn to them because they don't think it's an issue. And so I really, really wish it was a way to create a group of women who were like minded, who wanted to do the same things that I wanted to do, that really wanted to stay focused on God and His principles and the things that He wants for me to do, and not just what the world would intend as normal or what the world thinks is good enough. Because I don't want to just do good enough. I want to do God enough. Like, I want to be in His Word, in relationship with Him. I want to be doing the best that I possibly can, and not just eh, I really, really want to be intentional with my religion, with my purpose, with everything that God put on my heart for me to do, with everything that God has given me to be able to do in this life. Like, I don't want to waste anything. And so, I don't know. And and so in the church, we want to do something that, and I don't know if I can say that in this video, but we want to do something that focuses on other things, another area. And it's not something that I would be like, yes, or like I would be like, of course I want to help. And it's so weird because it's like at this season of my life, everywhere I go, people are insisting that I do this thing. And I've never done anything like this before. I don't know if it's because of my book, because it's learned from my missteps or what, but it's like the direction that other people are saying I should be in, or the area that they are saying that I should help in, is different than what I had thought that God intended for my life. And I'm in that weird space where I was thinking before I heard all the serve things about serving this place, serve, serve, give time, give money, whatever else. I was really thinking, I don't know if I should do this because I don't know if this is what God wants me to do. And I want to make sure I'm intentional. I don't want to just do it because someone asked me. I want to do it because I'm really helping and it'll benefit the kingdom. And so I was just thinking like, oh man, this isn't like me at all. I've never done anything like this. And I think it would be good. And the more I keep hearing about serving, and I heard a message yesterday that says something about if you're in a church and you're not part of like the finance team, if you do finances, if you're not part of the secretary staff, if you were a secretary or are a secretary, if you're not an usher, or you're not helping or giving time to something within the church, or giving time to something else that's not just beneficial to you but actually helping other people, then you are not living by God's standards. That you really, if you, it said something like, if you are a Christian, then you should be helping out someone in some sort of way. You should be like, if you, especially if you go to church every Sunday, or if you're in church. I know, like, it's like, oh, it becomes a job then, but you shouldn't think of it as a job. You should be thinking about how you can give back to other people. And so for me, I I always struggle with the commitment thing because I always didn't want to just be in one area. But I feel like in this season of my life, God wants me to be committed to something so that when He does send a person in my life who actually is for me, it won't feel so scary, and I won't pull away, and be, I won't push away the person who God intends to be a part of my life, because I will be willing to commit. I will be willing to be vulnerable and willing to give time and energy to something that deserves it. And I will have the right types of standards and boundaries that I need to have and things like that. And so every time God tells me to move a certain way in my life, it really does help me in another area. Like, it's so cool because, like, even the patience thing that I was talking about yesterday, I had no idea that my patience had grown that much. And I would have never known if I wasn't going through like that test, or if that person hadn't been like rude to me. I really would have just thought, oh, I'm the same way that I've always been. And then I was thinking about something in the car today. I just lost it, but oh my gosh, that fast. I forgot what I was going to say. But I was thinking about something. I don't know what it was. It was about like someone had said something to me. And oh, yeah. So I had met this person who had tried me. They tried it. They really tried it. And so initially, the first thing I wanted to do is just, I didn't notice, first of all, and then I lowered my standards. I feel like I can be transparent like that because I don't try to pretend like I got it all together and like I do everything right, because I don't. I try to do the best thing that I try to do better. I try to do the best that I can do, but that's all I can do. I can't do anything else. I'm not God. I'm just a person. And so so when I do things in my life, sometimes I do get into a moment where I'm in a situation and I unintentionally lower my standards. And I know you're probably thinking, how can you unintentionally lower your standards? When you get so busy that you don't have time to focus on something else, which you really should have time if you're planning on dating or getting to know people, so that you can be alert, so that you can be aware, so that you can have the best type of relationship that God intended for you. Because you don't want to just settle for anything and just have some person who has you at the lowest amount of standards, or lowering your standards right off the bat, and then you want something or you want to be appreciated and you can't be because they've already got you so low that you don't even recognize yourself, or so low that you end up on the ground instead of standing up for yourself. And so you really do have to be intentional with everything that it is that you're doing in life. And I know I say intentional a lot, but it's so true. And so anyways, so I went through this stage, not this stage. It was probably like a week or two. So let's not get all up in arms about it or anything like that. But I lowered my standards for this person. I did. And I'm not gonna lie, because I need to be completely transparent and truthful. Because if I'm showing my journey and God's using me as or my story as a testimony, it would be a good way for someone else to learn how to set their standards. Or they might see that, oh, well, she hasn't always had standards. She can, she's not just talking that talk just to be on this video. She really is about that life. And so, and so I'm sitting there and I meet this guy. Okay. We don't know when this is happening. So we all know the videos are all off and everything else. So the person who this video is about is not gonna know anyways, because it's gonna be too late. I mean, it's gonna be like way further ahead or later or whatever. It's not gonna be the person that you're thinking about, anything else. So I think we're fine. So so the first person tries me. They tried it. And I I just felt like, okay, well, I'm going to give this person the benefit of the doubt because of extenuating circumstances. I'm not going to go into details because it'll give too much information. The person will know who it's about, and people will probably pick up on context clues and put it together. So, so yeah, I lowered my standards. I lowered one standard. Let's just put it that way. And it wasn't, so it was part of the standard that I had, but it wasn't apparent that it was part of my standard until it was too late. Until like a week or two, then I was like, that's exactly why I need to have this, because if I don't have this, they will be inconsistent because I never required consistency or communication or whatever else it is, whatever my standards are. And so it was like something happened prematurely. And so when it happened prematurely, I was just like, okay, it happened prematurely. It's fine. Maybe this will be fine. And so it wasn't fine. It was a hot mess. And so because I lowered my standards and I didn't even know that that was part of my standard. Like I thought that I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know that I think that's why people say that you have to take your time dating and you have to take your time getting to know what it is that you actually want, because I could say I want communication and consistency, but unless I know what that looks like, I'm going to be falling for anything. My standards will be lowered and unintentionally. They will be lowered unbeknownst to me. So I really do have to make sure, and you have to make sure that you pay attention to what it is that you really want, why you want it, what it looks like, what you would consider that to look like, because it's not going to be black and white. Every situation is a little different. And like I said, there were extenuating circumstances. So it wasn't something that I was just like, oh yeah, let me just give this person everything. Like, no, it was nothing like that. It was just, it wasn't anything like that. It was something totally different. And so I meet this guy later down the line, and he tried it as well. And so in this instance, I was like, absolutely not, in Jesus' name. Like I didn't say in Jesus' name to the person because I'm not like all overly Christian like that when I meet people and stuff like that. Like I do, I mean God is everything, and they know God is in my life, like absolutely for sure. I'm just not like hitting people over across the head with the Bible and fire and brimstone and all that. I'm just, being a normal person. And then if God is in the conversation, that's what it is. If we end up talking about God, but they will know that I am a follower of God, of Christ, for sure. And especially if they ask if I'm religious or something like that. Like I'm not going to pretend as if God is not number one in my life at all. So, so anyways, back to the story. So they tried it, and they really were gonna try to pretend as if they try to play it off cool. I have to give them that. They really did pretend as if nothing was wrong with the situation, and like I guess there were other people who probably fell for it before, and was like, oh, okay, that makes, oh, like, oh no, oh. They're probably like that because that's what we do as women sometimes. And we need to really stop doing that, because don't feel more sorry for somebody else than you feel for yourself if you fall for all that foolishness. I'm telling you right now, because nothing makes me feel more guilty or regretful than not sticking to a standard because of my consideration for someone else. I can't consider someone else before I consider myself. Do I need to care about someone else's well being? Absolutely. And do I need to not be selfish? Absolutely. But when it comes to me making sure that I'm okay, if I'm not okay, the relationship's not going to be okay. I'm not going to be able to be 100% or 80% or whatever the relationship percentage is. I'm not going to be able to be the best version of me if I'm lowering my standards for someone else. If I am giving someone they're giving me the, oh, woe is me story, and I'm feeding into what it is that they need, I'm pulling away from myself. I'm not getting what I need at all. And no, it's not just about me, but and you still have to understand that when you do stuff like that, it allows the other person to feel as if you're just going to pour into them, and sometimes they don't give anything back. So it's a different situation. Like, I know every situation is different, and I'm not saying don't care about people. Of course, care about people's well-beings and things like that. I'm just saying that you really need to stick to your standards. And it's hard out here. It really is, because so many people lower their standards. And it's like second nature to most people. They're just like, oh, what? You're not going to just let me do that? Like, no, I'm not about to let you do I don't say it like that. So, really, I don't say it like that. I'm just saying like that in this video. Like, in my head, though, what I say is, no, I'm not about to let you do that. But in reality, I'm like, yeah, I definitely don't appreciate that. That's unacceptable. Straight face, everything. Like, and no, I'm not going to laugh it off because it's not funny to me. My life is not funny to me. It's not a joke for me to be unappreciated. It's not a joke for me to be taken advantage of. It's not a joke for my time to be wasted. We don't know when our time is to go. I would hate to waste my time on somebody that never appreciated, honored, or respected me. I would hate to do that. Like, that would be a complete waste of time. And I got so many things to do on my purpose and following God and trying to speak life into these people around me. I could be changing somebody's life, but instead I'm over here giving this person who doesn't even deserve a second all of this extra attention for no reason, when all they're going to do is suck me dry and leave me miserable. Like, that makes no sense. And so so yeah, he tried it. He really did try it. And I caught it on the second go around. Thank you, Jesus, looking out for me. Because I was praying about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna, like, oh, I just have to be better and do better. And I need to make sure I'm on top of things, because I don't want any regular old relationship. I don't. I mean, I know it's gonna be slim pickings for for somebody who's about that life, but I do not want to be miserable ever again. I don't want to just be with someone just to be with someone just because it's a person, just because they're a male. I don't want to just be with someone just because they say funny stuff sometimes and they really don't have a good heart, or they really don't have any purpose in life or whatever else. Like, I don't want to give my energy and time to someone who never will appreciate me, who will always be all about them and all about the woe is me. And I just have so many things going on, and I just never will ever be able to appreciate you because I don't have any time to or energy to to honor you, or to make you feel the way that you're making me feel. Like, I feel appreciated and like you would give me your time, but I just don't have the time or appreciation for you or respect for you at all. And the best thing that I could possibly have from a guy is appreciation, love, and respect. And I know not a lot of women say they want to be respected, but I definitely don't want to just be disrespected and talked to any kind of way. Like, I don't appreciate or accept anything like that, and I will not in Jesus' name accept anything like that. I have to say that because, Satan listens to your prayers and the things that you want, and he can make anything look appetizing and so good. He will bring, this is how Satan is, and no lie. Satan will literally, I mean, yes, he's a liar. I'm not saying he's no lie. I'm just saying this is how the situation goes for real. And so, so Satan will take the most gorgeous guy you have ever seen in your life with the swag. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be a swag thing. He can just look amazing. And he will be saying all of the things that you think that you want in someone. It'll seem like everything lines up. He will care about his body or his health because you care about your body and your health, and not because you said it, but he just automatically cares about his health. He will be religious because you're religious, but he doesn't know that you're religious except for the first conversation. And so now he's so religious and into God. And then he'll be working, and he will be single supposedly, or whatever else. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Well, let's just say he's single, and he's not talking to anyone or anything like that. He just looks so good, and all of the things that he's saying sound good. Like, he hasn't slipped up once to say something that would be a red flag, or at least you don't think it's a red flag. His actions, well, different. So at the beginning, it will seem as if his actions line up with his words, and then eventually, of course, his true colors will show. But Satan will make it seem so good, and everything that you could feel like you're about to doubt, he'll give you a little bit of hope, little by little by little. Every time you feel like that might be a red flag, he'll give you something so that you can still keep hanging on. It's like that Satan's breadcrumbs. Let's just call it that because we're talking about breadcrumbing. So it's like Satan's breadcrumbs. He'll give you a little bit at a time, like Hansel and Gretel, while you walk through this trail straight into his dungeon, his infirmary, and while you're walking into it, you don't even realize because you're getting everything that you need. You think that you have everything that you need, every crumb that you got to eat while you were super hungry, while you were waiting for that person. It feels appetizing at the time. It feels like it's enough to just fill you up at that moment. And it's not enough to actually give you a full meal. And when you get to your destination, it's detrimental. It will destroy you. And so he will do whatever it takes to keep you on the hook as long as he possibly can, just so that you could be so by blinded by the light, blinded by blinded by this amazing looking man or woman for men, that you'll be so sucked in that by the time you realize that they're sucking the life out of you, it'll be almost too late. This is how good he is at being a manipulator. And I know we like to pretend as if it would just be so easy to spot someone like that, but it's not always that easy. And if we're really being real with ourselves, we, when you, this is something that has helped me lately, and I think it might help somebody. When you are in a moment and the person either tries to make you do something that you don't want to do, like they say, oh, it's not really that big of a deal, this, and this, and that's not where your heart is, that's a huge red flag because no one should be making you do anything that's against your morals and your values. If the person does something that seems like they say something, it doesn't sit well with you, but you don't know why it doesn't sit well with you. And it's not that what they said was wrong, it's just something about it doesn't really feel right in your intuition, women. This is not the person for you. That's God trying to tell you that even though you can't see it, this person is not aligning with what it is that you need in your life. They're not good for you. It's not going to benefit you. And it could be something so simple like, do I want to say this? I want to say this, but I don't want to offend the person if they end up watching this video. It could be so simple. It could even be something like the person says something like, hey, sexy, and you just met them. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be a temptress on the first date? Like, do I want to be attractive? Of course. Am I trying to be thought of in that type of way? And you don't even know me? Like, I could, I mean, I don't want to speak that over my life, but I mean, anything could be going on inside me. Anything could be going on the outside of me. I don't know what happens with that, but you know what I'm saying. Anything could be happening. I could be a crazy person. Like, you don't know. And so now my spiritually transmitted demons are on you. So now you all overthinking. You all overthinking. You all acting crazy. I don't say I'm not saying I do this, but I'm just saying in general. It could be anything. So we're just naming, let's name some horrible things. And one of them may be something that I do. So all of the overthinking, all of the all of the exes of the past. Let's just say it's a person with people or something. The exes from the past. All of the emotional trauma, all of the childhood trauma, all of the sporadic behavior, all of the uncertainty, all of the things, all of the negative traits that you never wanted on you are now on you. And you can't understand why you're over analytical now. You can't understand why all of a sudden, okay, phone. You can't understand why all of a sudden you just feel like you just paranoid. You can't understand why all of a sudden you just can't seem to be vulnerable with anybody now. You just are super guarded and you just can never let anybody in. You don't understand why all of a sudden you got you got these weird issues that like you never thought that you would ever exist in your life. And not only that, but then there might be other things that ended up on there or ended up in you or on. I don't know how it happens, but you know what I'm saying. Like stuff like that could happen. And so while you're just thinking that this is just going to be something beneficial for a moment with some random person, and I hate to be, oh my goodness, I sound so Christian right now. And I can understand why they said this when I was younger and things like that because it's so true. But oh man, I'm gonna get crucified for this. Like people are gonna literally be going on me. They're gonna the things that people will say to me when they watch this video because I said that, and you know how the world is. So now I'm gonna be a piranha, a social piranha, because they're just going to think, well, everybody does this. I mean, I understand everybody does what they want to do in their life, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that I'm a saint. I make mistakes all the time. I really do. And is it that type of mistake? Maybe it's not. And also, I I just feel like when you are saying endearing words to someone, maybe wait, because not everybody is ready to just rush into something. And sometimes when people are getting to know people, they might not want to be viewed as sexy the first time you talk to them. Like they might want to be called beautiful or like, hey, whatever your name is, so that they know your name. I'm just saying in general. I don't know why I laugh so hard at that, but seriously, like I feel like this might be part of that cynicism that I'm trying to get off of me, but when people say like pet names right away, I automatically think. And I feel like I need to stop saying feel. I mm, when people say pet names, especially right away, it makes me think that they got so many people that they can't remember everybody's name. So instead of them getting caught up or whatever else, like for women and men, this is not just an all man thing. Like even women, like when we meet somebody, we probably don't need to say, hey, sexy to the person that we just started talking to. Like, we don't know them. We don't know them like that. They might be attractive, really attractive, but that does not mean you have to say that. Like, they know what they look like. You know what they look like. We don't have to keep reiterating it. They don't need validation in that way. Like, be a little harder. You don't have to be like a still force around your guarded fence of a heart, but just really be classy and ladylike and do the best that you can. because you're not going to be perfect. And also, just try to do the right thing. Do what you can do to be the best that you can be. But yeah. So in general, I was so proud of myself. Back to the story after I then hopped all around and talked about all this other stuff. So the first person tried it and got away with it. They got away with it. I know, surprising because I'm on here and I talk about, empowering yourself and being inspired and motivated and all of these things. And that is so amazing and great. And thank glory to God, for everything that He's done in my life. And also, just because I want to inspire other people does not mean I'm not human. It does not mean that I don't make mistakes or I don't miss things too, just like every other person. And what I'm learning is instead of beating myself up about it, I need to learn from it. And so because I use that as a lesson and I did, okay, I'm not gonna pretend because you know me and my guilt that Satan tries to use against me and all that other stuff is real. And so when I lowered my standards the first time and I wasn't aware that that was part of my communication standard or whatever else, I really just felt like, okay, I need to give this person the benefit of the doubt. But no, they really needed to just step it up. And it might not be in the way that I wanted communication to be, but the communication needed to be relevant. It needed to be something that was intentional. And that's not something that you can skimp on. That's something that needs definitely is a necessity. And so so when I first didn't notice and I let my standard dip. I'm not gonna say I just lowered it completely. It dipped. When it dipped in that moment for the first like week or two, I really just felt so mad at myself, so disappointed in myself. Like I know everybody's gonna say it's not that serious and you need to just let it go or whatever else, but I'm over analytical. So in my mind, all that kept replaying, like I don't know if it was the devil or if it was me or what, but it just kept replaying in my mind. You let this slip. You let this go. You didn't stand up for yourself. All of the talk about you having standards and stuff, and you really let this slide. You just let this person get over on you. This person will never respect you now. I mean, it just kept playing and playing and playing. I was beating myself up so bad. I was so mad at myself for not noticing right away what was wrong with the situation. But I never gave myself grace. And the more I started to be cynical, or the more I started to just really feel the guilt or the disappointment in myself. And it wasn't at that person because people are going to do whatever they can. Like, I mean, you have to be the person that sets those standards for your life and really stands up for yourself, because people don't know how to treat you unless you say something, because they can't read your mind. And so the more that you respect yourself and honor yourself and you stand up for yourself, the more people will respect and honor you. And they will stand to the level that they need to be at to be in your life. And so for me, I just went through this journey and I was spending time with God. And the more it's funny because I always say I'm so more easy on other people. Like when it comes to people in my life, when they are going through something and they're guilty, they feel guilty. I'm always like, you got to give yourself some grace because you're not going to be perfect. And when I said it, it's like God was saying, that's exactly what I need you to do for yourself. You can't just keep on thinking about all the things that you didn't do right and how you should have done it differently, because it's in the past now. It's nothing that you can do about it. So the only thing that you can do is give yourself grace and learn from it and move forward. And I listened to what God said and I really took it to heart, because at the beginning it was really hard for me. I really wanted to just beat myself up. I really wanted to be so mad at myself because I had done so much training and I really had done so much inner work and healing and all of this stuff. And when I let that person just get away with something like that, it really just made me feel like, wow, you did all of that for nothing. But I didn't do it for nothing. Life is a learning experience, and I gave myself the grace to forgive myself and know that yes, I didn't catch it this time, but it's not going to happen again. And so when the next person came along and they tried it, they wasn't about that life and I was about that life. And so they said what they said and I did what I did and I stuck to my standards and I stood my ground, and I was so proud of myself. I actually did it. I know I'm saying actually, but in theory, it sounds good. When we're talking in a group of friends, it sounds good. But to actually stand for something, to have standards and boundaries for your life, to actually, and not just friendships, but in potential partner way or whatever else. Because like with your friends, it might be easier to set standards and boundaries with them because you don't have any potential of, marrying them or, doing anything else with them. So it's just like, okay, whatever, but when it comes to potential people, it's like, it's a little different. And so I really had to look within myself and say, I was so proud of myself. You don't even understand. It feels so good when you set a standard and not just set the standard, and we have like that fear inside of us for normal people who don't pretend like they do everything right. Where if I do this, a person's gonna hate me, or they're gonna be like, they're not gonna like me now, or something else, whatever else. And it takes real growth and healing and self love and honoring yourself for you to actually set a standard that you want to have. Like, there's standards that I have in my life that I'm like, okay, this is ideally what I want. Like, it's like a big broad picture, but it's not specific specifications. And so every time I meet someone new and they do something that's below my standards and I don't realize it or something like that, the main thing that I would want to do is beat up on myself. But that's not what God wants us to do. He wants us to give ourselves grace and to use that as a lesson so that we can do better the next time. So that when other people try us or other things come up, we will have the rapport. We will be able to build that good rapport with the other person to where they will know that we honor and respect ourselves so that they can honor and respect us. And so when the next thing came up, and I stood up for myself, and I didn't do it with sass or in a nasty way or rude or disrespectful. I really stood my ground and I said it with a straight face. I was so serious. And I think you really have to mean what you say. I think that when you're faking it, it's hard to stick to a standard. But when you truly honor and respect yourself, when you really see that, when you get to the point where you realize that I don't care if they like me or not, I'm not going to have anybody in my life who is going to disrespect me, who will treat me as if I'm unimportant or not appreciate me. When you get to the point where you feel like that, and I'm not saying I'm going to be strong like this every single day, and I won't still have areas of my life that I'll struggle in, or people won't try different things I might not notice right away, or something else. I'm hoping that God shines the hugest light, like neon sign, bright lights, arrows pointing at it, that this is a red flag, or this is something that's beneath my standards, or this is part of it. This is something that I'm going to have to like not settle for or stand for me to know in the future. Like, I know I'm not going to be perfect, but I hope and pray that God does that for me in my life so that I don't ever have to be disrespected ever again. So that I don't ever have to feel like I have to lower my standards for anyone ever again, or to be in a situation where I feel like it's too late. Now this person will never respect me or whatever else it is. Like, it, I'm telling you, ladies, guys too, if you are talking to somebody and they're just pulling you along and breadcrumbing you, you're gonna need to have some standards. It might feel good to just have like this girl that looks amazing in your life, but you really do need to make sure that you are real with yourself and them. You need to make sure that you respect yourself so that that person can respect you, because just like we want to be respected, men should be respected. Absolutely, 100%. Number one, respected, because they are the lead. And if they are following God's lead, then we should be able to follow behind them, because they are truly being the things that God intended them to be. Oh my gosh, I've been on here a long time, and I said in conclusion and everything, but we have to we really do have to stand up for ourselves. We really do have to be real with ourselves. And I noticed too, the more you lie to the people around you or yourself about a situation, like when I talk to my friends now, I'm real with them. Like, I'm real with them anyways, but I used to be back in the day, I would say something and I would be like, oh, I would never deal with that. You know how we always like to pretend like we would never deal with something, but we get into this toxic relationship, or we end up dealing with someone who ends up pulling us below what the other person went through. And it might not be the same thing, but it's like we thought we would never go through it, but we did. And it's mostly because we disappointed ourselves and we don't want to look crazy in front of everybody else or whatever else. But I promise you, for my friends and anybody else, you will not look crazy to me if you decide that you don't want to be in that toxic relationship anymore. It's especially if it's due to you respecting yourself and you wanting better. I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm not going to rub it in your face because I have no room to judge. I have no reason to judge anybody. You know my story. And so I really truly feel like, and your friends and family members are not going to just, you might have that one salty person who might say I told you so, but I didn't have anybody that did that. Most of the people in my life were supportive and helpful and happy for me because they wanted me to be happy and they wanted me to have joy and peace in my life. They really truly want better for you. And to you, you might think it's going to be embarrassing, but you're the only person thinking of it as an embarrassment. I think that it takes real growth and real self respect for you to have the courage to leave a relationship, no matter how long it is that you've been together, especially when you know that you're not being respected or treated the right way, especially when it's something like that. And so don't ever feel like it's embarrassing for you to leave because you told people how great this person was when they've never been great. It's not it's not embarrassing for you to have self-respect and to care about yourself and honor yourself and to love yourself. Nothing is wrong with that. And really just take that thought out of your mind. Take the embarrassing thought out of your mind. If anybody should be embarrassed, it should be the person that you're with who treated you the way that you never should have been treated in the first place. If anyone should be embarrassed, it should be any person who try to judge you and pretend like they never went through anything in their life. If anyone should be embarrassed, it should be any person who try to make you feel guilty for wanting to leave when you knew that it wasn't healthy. Really, I know I went off course. So off course. I just, I felt it in my spirit, and I really feel like if we make an observation and we really truly want to help somebody with time or even like a word or whatever else it is, when you're serving in your purpose, I know I skimmed right over that, but when you're serving in your purpose, you should really be thinking about how you can help someone else and make sure that you are full as well. Like, don't just be completely selfish and not think about anyone else. I'm saying that give your time at church, give your time different places, things like that. I know that was like all over the place. I don't know what in the world, but I I think it's just because it's late and because I wasn't planning on being here over an hour. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh. But really, in this season, do not feel embarrassed about wanting to be in a healthy relationship, about wanting to be the healthiest version of you, about wanting to be treated the right way and respecting the people who you are with and the people in your life and taking the time. If you know that there's a family member who needs help, help them. Like, that's you serving. You are being godly when you are helping your family members or your friends because that's what God would do. That's what Jesus would do. WWJD. You know, I don't know why I started saying that now, and it's so corny, but it's so true. Anyways, and so give your time at church, give your time to your family members and friends, serve in whatever way it is that you possibly can. And while you're focused on you not doing things the right way, take that and learn a lesson from it. Just put that in your box. Like, use it as ammunition so the next time somebody comes out their head talking out their neck sideways, then you'll be about that life and you don't have to worry about them trying to pull one over on you. You can you already got everything that you need. And so you can just be ready and be about that life. And so when they come at you the wrong way, you'll be prepared. And so I said that just I just can't get over my facial expression in the way I just said that because I can kind of see it on the thing. Mm-mm-mm. You know what I mean. Just don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace and serve. Give your time, give your energy, give money if you need to, if you feel led in your spirit by God to give money to people who actually need it, or someone that God just said, give money to this person. You might be thinking, I don't even like that person. That person and I, we used to be at odds in high school or in middle school or whatever else it is. It doesn't matter if God told you to do it. God told me to do things in my life that I was like, this person, you really, I mean, yeah, this is at the beginning of my journey, so don't judge me too much. But God was like, yeah, I need you to be loving and kind to this person. And the person was, I don't want to give too much information about it, but the person was someone who they did something that was so cruel and they knew it was cruel, but they try to be nice about it. Like they were that type of person. And God was like, I need you to call them or visit them. And I need you to be nice to them, loving and kind. And I did it. And God blessed me tremendously. Like, it was awkward and it was weird, but I felt so light afterwards. I felt like, I don't know how to describe it, like selfless. I didn't feel like I was being like I didn't do it because it benefited me. I didn't do it because I thought that God was going to bless me. I really truly did it because I was being obedient, and God took that and was like, because you were obedient and I know how hard this was for you. Here is a plethora of blessings. Like, I mean, things that I couldn't even see how they were going to work out just worked out. It was just like that. Like, I know they say he may not come when you want him, but he's always right on time. Like, that was on time. On time. I had no idea it was about to happen. And so, I'm not saying that you should do stuff and serve for the benefits of blessings. I'm saying that you should serve because you want to be Christ like. And you giving your time or your money is exactly what God would intend for you to do.